Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on An Cluiche with me, Seamus Brady, your host. This is another interview here on the channel in the series of interviews that we have. This is interview number 14, and for this I'm joined by Derry GAA legend Tony Scullion. Tony, All-Ireland winner in 1993, four-time All-Star, 3 National Leagues, 2 Ulster Titles, 6 Railway Cup medals. That's one hell of a CV, Tony. How are you keeping?
It's brilliant, Seamus. Absolutely. From where I started at, and my club here in Ballinascreen, as I say, and didn't play any county minor. Wasn't selected. Wasn't good enough. Didn't get a trial or nothing. So no, I'm very happy how everything went for me. And as I say, you need to bounce the ball, and I got to bounce the ball many a day, so it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, without doubt. And I appreciate you doing this. So then you'd like talk me through that. You were mentioning didn't get onto the Derry team. I'll first ask you about the Derry team now. So the Derry team in the present, like how have you found that over the last couple of years? I mean, absolute roller coaster when you think only as recently as 2017, 2018, they were down in Division 4, playing against Leitrim in the Division 4 final, and then all the way up to Division 3, Division 2, now going to be playing in Division 1 next season, and came within a whisker of beating Kerry in that All-Ireland semi-final.
It's incredible. There's no saying it's a fine line, and it really is a fine line because, as you say, not too many years ago we were in Division 4, and now we're heading to Division 1 and 2 Ulster titles back to back.
Yeah.
An Ulster title is not easy one, but to put 2 back to back was incredible. And the All-Ireland semi-final this year against Kerry, we know how close we were. We were a kick of a ball of being in the All-Ireland final. So it has been an incredible journey, and it's wonderful what can happen when you get a management team and a group of players who are prepared to put in the work. And it has definitely been very nice this last few years, and long may it continue.
Yeah, no, without doubt. And obviously, I have to ask you on this, like yourself, a Derry man, Mickey Harte announced Derry manager, obviously, in the past week. I mean, what did you make of that when you heard about that? I mean, that, in terms of appointments that I did not see coming, that has to be the biggest one. Just was blown away when I heard that.
Absolutely, a massive surprise to Derry people too. Talking to people this last week or so and whatever, really surprised. Nobody's seen it coming. It was, but Mickey has decided to take us, and at the end of the day, if Mickey can get us across the line and bring us one in All Ireland for us, there'll be nobody in Derry complaining. He's a great track record, what he's achieved in his management career. So as I say, he has the experience. So we're hoping that he can get the best out of a bunch of lads and just bring them on that wee bit further till, as I say, we want to get back to Croke Park again and hopefully won.
But that's it. And like when you look at how close you were, like in my opinion, if Garrett McKinless puts that shot past Shane Ryan, I think you go 5 points clear at that stage. Game's done, in my opinion.
Yes,
and
I think there was a few. Yes, there was a few wee times in that game, especially in the second half when we carry around a lot of pressure. When we had the game. But as I say, it's about seeing the game out, and unfortunately, Kerry pushed really up on us, and there was a few kickouts at the finish up, but we just couldn't get our hands on our kickout. We couldn't retain possession from our kickouts, and Kerry was really making us pay for that. So we were so close, and as you say, Gareth, who had a tremendous game that day, was very unlucky with that goal, with that ball. I think it maybe hit the goalkeeper's arm or whatever, but it's a great save, an absolutely great save. Well, that's what it's all about. A goalkeeper spreads himself, and he's a better chance of saving it. So that was a difference. Fine lines again, as I say.
Well, that's it. And like I think, especially for Kerry, it really seemed like Derry believed they could beat Kerry right from the start. Like you looked at how quickly Derry got the goal from McKinless. I know Gavin White immediately responded for Kerry, but Derry came to play. Like Derry weren't afraid. They weren't in their shell. They weren't taking a step back. And you do think maybe Mickey Harte might be the man to make that difference and to get them over the line. I think when you look at it, like, what are you expecting from that league game? Because they are both in Division 1 this year. I mean, the league clash between Tyrone and Derry surely be one of the most anticipated.
It'll be tasty. I would imagine all Derry Tyrone matches has been tasty. There's a rivalry there, but unfortunately for Derry people, over the last number of years, maybe up to this last couple of years, before that now, for a number of years, there wasn't much rivalry because Tyrone were too good for us for a number of years. But the last couple of years now, we've been getting the better Tyrone and leading. We would like to think now that this National League campaign, Division 1, the National League campaign is absolutely brilliant. Now, the National League is maybe every bit as entertaining as a championship, believe it or not, and especially that Division 1. And we're so glad to be back in Division 1 because you have the top 8 teams in the country. And we're going to be tested every day, and every point in the league table is going to be valuable. So really, really looking forward to some great clashes. As you say, Derry v Tyrone, where would you get it at? No better.
That's one to put a pin in on the calendar for sure. And I think when you're looking at it, like Dublin and Derry going up, I can't see either of them going down. And you're looking at it, like so many teams. Like, I think when you're looking at it, Monaghan as well, like you can never write them off. It's going to be really hard to see who actually goes down from it. One thing that I read up, which is interesting, obviously because you mentioned about Derry and Kerry, I read up an article about you, and in the article you were talking about how your dad always like idolized Kerry and always like looked at them as being like the absolute magicians of Gaelic football and stuff like that. Like, what was the culture with it? Was there a belief in Derry that you could get to that level? Because obviously then you took it to a whole new level by winning the All-Ireland. But when you were growing up?
And people forget, Seamus, in 75 and 76, Derry won back-to-back Ulster titles. And, I was, at that stage, I was 13, 14 years of age. And that's a team that I remember and idolised too. A lot of them players of mine going to Dean McGlinchey Park here in Ballinascreen. That was the county grounds. That's my home club here in Ballinascreen. Mine going to watch Derry play and been maybe the first. My father would have me first in the stand for the matches, and we'd been sitting there maybe an hour and a half before the game. He just loved to be in time and just coming underneath the stand, watching them Derry players come out from the change rooms. That was a great, great Derry team, and we were, that Derry team went on, maybe got to a National League final, maybe got, beat narrowly, maybe a replay or whatever. It was and then the All-Ireland, maybe All-Ireland semi-final a couple of years. Kerry and Dublin in the middle 70s, they were just a step above in front of everybody else. But as I say, that Derry team was a great, great, great Derry team. And, and many a year they could have maybe won the All-Ireland. But in that era...
Was there any lads in that team that inspired you to play?
Well, you think of these players in that team that I could name a number of them, but Jerry McElhenney, I can remember him with the white the hairband on. Him only a young lad, 18 or 19 years of age, and yet Seamus Lagan, Sean O'Connell, great players. Jerry O'Loughlin, Brendan, our own Brendan Kelly, Brendan Neely from Ballinascreen here. He was an excellent left footer. Great footballer. So that was a great Derry team. Malachi McAfee. You could go on and on. I'm going to leave Tom McGuinness. Great footballer. So and they definitely inspired me. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to put on that Derry jersey at some a stage in my career. And thanks be to God, it eventually happened. But yes, my father, as I say, Kerry were doing so well that time, and he would have seen, we'd have sat around the kitchen table, there was no television, and listened to the wireless and Mail O'Hare and the All-Ireland final, and he used to say, boys, there's no one that Kerry, they're the team. He really loved the Kerry team.
Yeah, no, I mean, like,
seeing that Seamus, he was taking us and the bar of a Black Maria bicycle to Ballinascreen, and he was a real Derry man and loved the Derry team, but he just thought Kerry were were awesome at that stage.
Ah, yeah, but they were like, I mean, some of the footballers that they would have had around that time,
Great.
if you're talking the likes of Mick O'Connell and people like that, like they're gods of the game. Like, they are gods of the game. And it's impossible to not admire players like that. Moving in then, so we're talking about getting into the Derry team, but you were also talking about how you didn't make it at minor. Like, was that a crucial stage? That must have been a crucial stage in your career, because even from my very brief life, like playing GAA, I've noticed that if players don't make it during those key years, a ton of players drop off. Like a ton of players drop off. So what was it that made you keep going? Was it just a love of the game, or was it you wanted to prove that you could make it, or what do you think kept you going?
Well, I just felt, it was a local man too who was managing the Derry minor team from my own club, so, but we laugh about it since. We laugh about it since and all that. And maybe I wasn't. I was I was very small when I was 17 or 18. Cornerback, I've been playing cornerback from an early age, the position, in the full back line from an early age, from on the screen. And, maybe at that times I felt God. I knew it was close. But as I say, I just wasn't selected. Did it make me more determined? Yes, it did. I was playing for my club and was playing regularly for my club, and in fact playing both codes in my club, hurling and football. So yes, I always inspired. I always wanted to play at the highest level. I wanted to play for Derry, so I was very much driven. I was a very driven type of person, especially when it came to on the grass, on the field, playing the games, training. I wouldn't have missed training. It would have meant everything to me to be at training every night and when I did train, I trained. I didn't. I wanted to train hard. I wanted to push myself to the limit, and I always try to have that belief that I was as good as the next person, and that's very important to have them things if you want to move on, push on.
Yeah, and like, I have an interesting question. Do you think you would have been as good a player if you had made that minor team?
That's the million dollar question. Unfortunately, Seamus, I've seen lads, through my own county here who played county minor, who were stars at county minors, and yet didn't come on through to senior level. So maybe even struggled to get on their own club senior team in a few years after. So you can go different pathways. It can, putting on the county jersey at an early age can, if you having your feet on the ground, you could very easily get carried away, and it can, and you might feel that you're better than you really are, and you can maybe your preparation for games and your preparation for training and nightlife, you might want nightlife more so than the game. So did it drive me on? I'm not sure. I wanted to play Derry minors. I wasn't selected. In fact, I played for Derry minor hurlers. I put on a hurling county jersey before I put on a football jersey. So yes, it drove me on. Would I have taken another pathway if I had played for Derry minors? I don't think so. I think I was just so determined to go on and play for Derry as much as I could.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe that you would have continued to play. I think you just, from what I'm gathering from you, I feel like you just love the game a lot. I feel like a lot of people, it's like a destination. It's like an end goal to play for a team. And I feel like for a lot of players, if they play for the minors, it almost scratches that itch for them, and they don't have the same drive to then push on and make teams. Like, when you think about it, Bernard Brogan didn't play for Dublin Minors.
That's right.
Like, Conor McManus didn't play for Monaghan Minors. Like, crazy list of names that didn't play for the Minors is insane. And obviously you're on that list as well.
I seen that team. Somebody sent me that team, Seamus, of players who didn't play county minor. It's amazing. You couldn't believe the players on that team. It's so.
Oh, that team would win an All-Ireland. That team would easy.
My first football jersey for Derry was 1983, for the last year down to 21, and as I say, Mickey Moran, who everybody knows Mickey Moran in Gaelic games. So Mickey was shot okay, and they were the management team, and Mickey was also with the seniors. So maybe it was great for me. Mickey was part of the management team of the under-21s and also with the seniors. So when I made my debut for the Derry under-21s, and I was doing rightly for them, and we got to the Ireland final that year, and Mayo beat us after a replay in 1983. But Mickey took me straight from the under-21 team onto the senior team. So it was great to have the link. For me, it was great to have the link. Mickey was with me at the 21s, and he's also managed the seniors.
Mm-hmm. No, that's it. And you probably knew in those sessions, if you do really well playing for this guy, you have a chance going straight through. And I do want to ask you a question. So you're on the come up now. So you're in the under-21s, you're starting to dip your toe into the seniors, starting to train with them, I imagine, at this stage. Do you remember like the first guy that you remember marking and being like, this guy's good? I can't get a hold of this guy.
I can remember, Seamus, and I'm not sure. Someone's telling me I mind playing Antrim in a challenge match, and Mickey was down a couple of players, and he asked Brendan Kelly from Ballinascreen. Brendan was playing corner forward for Derry, and as I mentioned him earlier, great footballer. He asked Brendan that would he take me along that day with him till the match, because they were down a couple of players. I mind playing against Antrim cornerback, and I think it was a player, I'm not sure, a fella called Speedy Armstrong, and he was Speedy. And I was saying to myself, and that was a baptism of fire, because he was a fast wee player, and I was thinking to myself, this is what I have to get to. This is a level I have to get to. So it was a great experience, because I can remember coming off the field that day, and I felt great. I felt great that I had put on that Derry senior jersey and was hoping for more of it.
Yeah, no, very well said. And I feel like that kind of is the make or break. If you have a game where you're really pushed to your limits, I feel like it tests the mettle of a player and it tests the mettle of a team. And you were coming into that Derry team during the 80s. You've won, obviously, the Ulster Championship. You've won that Ulster Championship in 1987. And that was obviously your first provincial medal. Like, just talk me through that. I mean, like, that was at a time, like, I know provincial medals mean a lot now still, like in Ulster and things, like, they mean a hell of a lot in Ulster. We see the way James McCarthy lifts the cup over his head this year when Dublin won Leinster, like, he couldn't care less that Dublin won the Leinster Championship. But, like, can you even try articulate, like, how much did that mean winning that Ulster medal?
That was massive. Massive for Derry. Well, you have to remember, well, we only have one Sam Maguire in 1993, and that was long. That was a number of years, whatever, 6 years before I won the Sam Maguire. So an Ulster Championship for Derry was massive, and so we got to the final in 85, and Monaghan beat us in the Ulster final in 85, and that day it was men against boys. That Monaghan team was a great Monaghan team. Great team. A team that was unlucky not to win All Ireland, that Monaghan team, I felt. A seasoned team. We were, as I say, a youngish team. And as I say, it was like throwing buns to bears. Everybody says they were just too strong for us. And Clonus that day, they beat us pretty handily, if I can remember. And then 2 years later, we were lucky to get back to the Ulster final against Armagh. And we were more ready for it then, even though it finished a very tight game. Armagh maybe got a player sent off in the first half, and we won the game by a point or two. But it was just brilliant, and celebrations we had after the match just to win the Ulster Championship was absolutely brilliant. And we were preparing for an Ireland semi-final against a Meath team, a team that was 10 times down the road further than we were. And again, we were just no match for Meath in the semi-final. But it was a great experience, and it was great personally for myself and great for my teammates to get an Ulster Championship medal and to win the ancluiche Cup. And it gave us that wee bit of belief to push on.
You know, that was the next question I was going to ask. I mean, if you were to put the question to me and say, like, on a rainy night in miserable conditions, who do you want to play against? That Meath team is the last team I would put on that list. Like Kevin Foley, Mick Lyons, Liam Hayes,
Brilliant.
serious tough men.
Serious tough man is right. Oh, right up the field, the whole way up the field. They had a great team. You had a full forward line of Colin O'Rourke, Brian Stafford, and Bernard Flynn.
Yeah.
Great team. A team that went on to win, maybe it was 2 or 3 All Irelands. That team. So we weren't at that level, but it was still an experience for us. I remember Dermot McNichol, and Dermot McNichol was younger than myself, but back then he was only maybe 19 or 20. A great footballer from Derry, and Dermot, and he went to Australia after that for a few years. But Dermot, I remember Dermot was carrying an injury into that semi-final, and I remember going out to do a fitness test that morning, and we were all waiting in the hotel to hear the good news of the whatever. And he did start, but he only lasted 20 minutes, and he was a class player and meant so much to us up front. But anyway, Meath was too strong.
Well, that's it. And they went on to beat Cork quite handy in that All-Ireland final. And talk about if you want to see a physical game, I mean, those games between Meath and Cork were half Gaelic football, half bar fight. And I feel like those games, you just didn't play those type of games anymore.
No. There's some great football players in them games too. But
100%. That was my favorite thing about that Meath team is if you wanted to fight them, they'd fight. But if you wanted to play football, they could play off the park as well.
I would say, if you asked Meath, I'd have to say this about Meath. Derry and Meath had some great encounters for late 80s, into the 90s when we won the Ireland in 93, but we'd have played them in a lot of National League games. And they were great Division 1 national. We won. I was involved with 3 Derry teams that won Division 1 National League titles. So we were beating maybe Meath in them games, semi-finals or whatever. And there was some great battles. And there was no lying down. And it was just hard, honest football. Man to man, going for the ball. You took your hip. You moved on. There were no lying down. And I think Meath had great respect for Derry. And we had great respect for Meath because it was manly football, good football.
Well, that's it. And being 100% honest, I missed them. I want Meath to come back and give Dublin a right good go in Leinster because I'd love a proper rivalry in Leinster. Correct. And that's what Leinster needs, Meath and Kildare to roar back in. Really, really does.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, so then do you come into the senior team then? You're coming into the tail end of the 80s, early 90s. This was a time when Ulster football pretty much took over now. Cork won it in 89 and 90, and then Ulster took over. You've got Down, Donegal, yourselves, and Down again in 4 years, winning back-to-back titles. Down won it in 91, Donegal won it in 92. And yous are sitting there with this team, this cracking team now at this point. Anthony Tohill's in there, yourself is in there, Joe Brolly's in there. Did you feel like there was a wave of kind of anticipation building in Derry that come on, don't let this opportunity pass us by?
Yes. And we were so close in 91. Down beat us after a replay. And then 92, we won the National League. And Donegal caught us in the Ulster final and deserved to beat us in the Ulster final. And then in 93, we returned the favour in Donegal and beat Donegal in the Ulster final. We'd beat in 92, we had beat Down, the reigning All-Ireland champions, to get to the Ulster final. And then, as I say, Donegal beat us. And then in 93, we beat Down. And we beat Donegal on our way to Ulster final, to one in the Ulster and one in the All-Ireland. And then, as I say, 94 Down beat us, and they went on to win the All-Ireland. And so, but that was a great time for Ulster football, and it was great to see Ulster football coming on the map, because for years we hadn't been maybe competing when we went down to the All-Ireland semi-finals. But there's one thing, Seamus, I would say, and I always said it, that give us confidence, and that was the Railway Cup. And
Yes.
it's a competition that I don't understand. I think it's a great competition. I was lucky to play 10 years for Ulster and won 6 Railway Cup medals in a row. And I captained the Ulster team in 1991. But one of them Railway Cup medals, I think our first one was at 89.
89 to 95, I have it down.
And there was one year it didn't take place. That's why, but we still had 6 in a row. And I still firmly believe that would give the Ulster players confidence that we're fit to stand up to the Leinster and the Munster and Connacht players in the Railway Cup. Why can we not stand up against them playing for our counties? I think them Railway Cup successes was good for our counties up here in Ulster.
Oh, I do not doubt it. I do not doubt it, because I think with that surely was one of the biggest differences, is that like you beat down and you beat Donegal on the way to winning the Ulster Championship in '93. Yeah, All Ireland champions Donegal as well. Then like compare that to 1987, when at the time the champions of Ireland were coming from the Munsters and the Leinsters.
Mm-hmm.
Now the champions of Ireland were coming from Ulster. And the fact that you had come through Ulster, surely you knew at that point, right? Surely these won't be as hard as Ulster. Do you know what I mean? To get by. No, not on the same level, but surely you carried a hell of a lot more confidence having got out of Ulster 93 rather than Ulster 87.
Absolutely. But we played Dublin in the All-Ireland semi-final in 93. And what a game. 15-14 had finished. What a game of football. We were 9-4 down at half-time. That was a great game of football. And again, manly football. Two teams going at it, fair and square, honest, hard, fair football. But whenever we won that, and we were leading into the All-Ireland final and playing Cork, and people, the Derry supporters, which were brilliant, filling Croke Park and filling Clonus, it was superb. And at that time, Casement Park, filling the stadium side, the red and white, it was unbelievable. But leading into that All-Ireland final after we beat Dublin, everybody in the streets around Derry, County Derry, felt that we had won.
Yeah.
They didn't see Cork being a real threat. But now let me tell you, the players and management knew Cork were a real threat. People didn't realise after beating Dublin and everything. But Cork had hammered Mayo in the other semi-final by maybe over 20 points, if I can mind right. Hammered them. And we were playing against a mighty Cork team. But as I say, Derry supporters just thought, this is it. And there was pressure. There was definitely a bit of pressure on the team to perform, but as I say, our supporters were unbelievable and carried us over the line. And we just felt as players, we couldn't let them down. We cannot let our supporters down this time. And thanks be to God, we didn't.
Yeah, no, without doubt. And I mean, like, that was a Cork team that still had the spine of 89 and 90, the All-Ireland wins. They still had Tony Davis and they still had these guys in the team. And yeah, so it's interesting to see how, like, just the hype can just take over. And I mean, being in the stadium that day at Croke Park, playing against Cork, all you see around you is red and white. That must have been a sight to behold as well. Just looking around, the whole stadium is red and white. Just talk to me about that day. Like, did you do anything different? Did you feel did you sleep well the night before?
No, myself and Brady.
How was it different when it's final day?
We tried our best not to make it any different. And the roommates, myself and Brian McGilligan, would have been big friends. And well, we were friends, we're all friends, but myself and Brian would have roomed together. Even when we were playing County Hurling, we would have roomed together. But we were always roommates, no matter where. Football or hurling, we were always roommates. So, me and him, no difference. We yarned and cracked and eventually turned the TV off and maybe bantered each other, better crack with each other and saying, McGilligan, you're going to get a tough time tomorrow with McCarthy and whoever was in the middle of the field. And then he was giving me a touch about O'Driscoll and Corkery and so on. So I know, and it was just light banter and a bit of crack, and but we were still thinking about. Of course, we were thinking about the game, and I can remember that night watching. We went up to the rooms and we watched up for the game, up for the match, up for the final, and Phil Coulter was on singing "The Town I Love So Well," and I'll tell you that would just bring a tear to the stone, and it really hit me. I know it certainly hit me anyway. It felt the song. It's a beautiful, beautiful song, and it made me feel. It just hit home with me. What was on the next day, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I've no doubt. And then obviously you won that All Ireland, and look, here you are, fresh after it.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's us going up the steps of the Hogan stand. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you've got a little known fella here by the name of Anthony Tohill beside you.
Anthony Tohill just behind me, Eamon Coleman, the manager in front of me there, and then the Gormley in front of that. So, God saves, it was brilliant. It was brilliant, Seamus. Words wouldn't describe, as I say, them men there, Anthony Tohill was a colossus, and the Gormley, what a player he was. Massive man of getting us important scores, and Eamon Coleman, the manager, he put the belief in us that this team was going to win the Sam Maguire.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly is did. Here's the cup being lifted now. First Derry man to lift Sam.
Henry Downey, what a leader too. Great leader, centre half back, great leader. Talk about we had a half back line of Johnny McGurk, Henry Downey, and Gary Coleman, and kicking punch for fun, and that was way back in the early 90s. They were going forward to kick scores, so we had a very athletic team.
Oh no, for sure, that was a class Derry team. Like to beat that Cork team in the final, it just was a brilliant Derry side. And one of my favorite things when I was obviously doing my research for this interview, one of my favorite clips was you talking about the homecoming back to Derry. I mean, because obviously when you're in this moment here, I feel like when you're in this moment that going up the steps, yes, you do know that you've won. Yes, you are celebrating, but surely you're still in a little bit of disbelief of what's happened. Surely that was the homecoming even better than that.
Look, I'd like to mention, Seamus, this when you're talking about, I was lucky enough to play for Ireland in the International World Series in 87 and 1990. And we were out in Australia in 1990, and Stephen O'Brien of Cork was out. And me and him roomed together. And Stephen had won. He was only a young lad. He had won in All Ireland. And I remember just asking him what it felt like. It must have been great and great. Little did I know 3 years later that I'd be playing against Stephen O'Brien in Croke Park and won the Sam Maguire, because, as I say, Stephen was a great, great footballer. So, going on about the homecoming. It was just incredible. Yeah. I'm going to have to say it here. You know what I'm going to say. Mahara was black. Yeah. The bus couldn't get up the street. It was incredible. The whole way home, there was people out on this along the road, and wee villages and towns went through. And as I say, we didn't get home till whatever was lit on. It was lit on Monday. It was early hours of Tuesday morning, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock when we got to Mahara, and the place was just black. I mean it. Your bus just couldn't get up. We were in an open air bus, and we were just on cloud 9, and we hadn't got much sleep.
No, of course not. I mean, like,
I've
seen the video. I've seen the video. Like, literally, the bus couldn't move.
It was incredible. It was just incredible. At that time in the morning, as I say, that time in the morning, 3 or 4 o'clock, whatever, and all the children and their parents just wanted to make sure their children would not miss that moment. And it was just an incredible moment. And as I say, words just couldn't describe it. You know what the whole thing, and
Yeah.
great, absolutely great.
Yeah, and I mean, like another thing I want to ask you about here is, you mentioned obviously that you had the privilege of playing for Ireland, and you had the privilege obviously of winning the 6 Railway Cup medals in a row. Which player, like, was there any player that you were in the dressing room with and you were like, oh wow, I'm on a team with this fella now, or were you just like, no, another game, he's my teammate? Or was there anyone who had a bit of a wow
Seamus,
factor?
Seamus, I wouldn't, as I say, it would be wrong for me to single out any player. To go into a dressing room, to get into a dressing room, with my county colleagues, and then had the honour of going into the dressing room with my colleagues from my province, from the 9 counties, and then to go into the dressing room with my Irish, my country comrades.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, to be over in Australia and to stand for our national anthem, I tell you, it unbelievable to play for your country. And as I say, to stand along with them players, and I couldn't single out anybody because they were all so special, and I couldn't believe there is me from the, as the boy says, from the rushes of Tiernamoney and Ballinascreen to go out to be going out and playing along with them greats from all over the country. That I thought to myself, what could better it? Nothing.
Yeah, no, without doubt. I mean, yeah, like when you look back in your career, like I mean, to have been part of that Derry team, like that Derry team will forever be stamped on Derry GAA. That will always be the team to live up to. That will always be the benchmark. And this team, Derry team that we have now, like even though it's a cracking team, it's still the boys in '93 that they have to live up to, and they have to go and win that All Ireland to be up there with them.
I'll be
Right,
too happy. I'll be too happy to hopefully
yeah,
someday that I get the opportunity to stand in Mahara as a spectator till welcome home the second
another All
team,
Ireland.
Kerry,
Yeah,
the one you learned.
but this is it. There's too much passion in Derry that I think it's only a matter of time before eventually he's
Well,
get it right again. But yeah, no, Tony, I'm all out of questions for you. It's been an absolute privilege having you on today. Thanks so much for your time.
no balls, Seamus. Okay, that's great.
Yeah. Okay, and thanks everybody who paid attention to this interview here on An Cluiche. Till the next one.